Peace, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Grown Man Shift Podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Baif Noordeem, and I have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. It's a co-worker of mine on 9 to 5, but somebody who I have had the pleasure of having multiple conversations with in regards to life, love, husbandry, not animal husbandry, but just all things life related. And he's somebody who I've grown very fond of in this journey that I'm in this stage of my life. Somebody who I consider a thinker, somebody who doesn't necessarily follow the crowd and what the popular opinion is, and somebody who I value their opinion and their outlook. So without further ado, I would like to introduce my guy, TJ. What's going on?
Hey, what's up? Thank you very much for having me, man.
Fire.
The kind words.
Yeah, it's the truth,
I
though.
feel the same way, man.
I appreciate it.
Same here.
So my guy, TJ, isn't a podcast guy. He's not a content creator. He is not in the space of social media whatsoever. He doesn't even use digital pay, which is amazing.
No.
So
Straight up caveman status.
if it don't fold in your pocket, I don't want it. You feel me?
That's it.
So I guess I'll go by the first question I usually ask people. Super simple. When you hear the phrase grown man shift, what is the thing that immediately comes to mind to you?
I don't know. I almost think it's the I think of shift being the operative word. Is almost shifting into being a grown man.
Yeah.
Not sure I'm quite there yet, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it. At 47,
Yeah.
I'm almost there. I'm
Facts.
almost cooked.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the shift from the young man bullshit
Yeah.
to grown man shit.
Yeah, facts. I appreciate that. I don't know if I'm qualified to be a grown man either, I'll be honest.
Right.
I think about myself sometimes and some of the things I look at being a parent, being a dad. Being a dad and being a husband, I'm like, who authorized me to have any of these responsibilities?
Oh, for real. I told my wife I was coming here. She's like, "What's the name of the podcast?" I was like, "Grown Man Shift." She was like, "So what you doing?" I was like, I don't know. I don't really know. About to find out.
The jury is still out on this, but let me just go see what's happening for me. Yeah.
Hopefully not make a fool of myself.
I mean, making a fool is what we do best, especially as men. In this day and age, I feel like a lot of times men are used as the scapegoat. We are used as the dumb guy. We are used as, not being evolved enough to have certain conversations. And through this podcast, my goal is to highlight some of these experiences that we've had as men that may or may not fall into the category of mature, that may or may not fall into the category of evolved, that may or may not fall into the category of wisdom and knowledge. But they're honest, wholehearted conversations that I feel like any guy will have. We both go to barbershops. We both have friend circles that are full of men. We both have conversations just outside of the conversations that you and I have. And the jury is still out. Maybe we're not matured as we think we are. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. But in terms of like manhood, what was your example of manhood growing up? Was it your dad? Was it your uncles? Was it the hodgepodge of the different men that you had in your life? Like, how would you define manhood, and where did you get that definition of manhood?
Wow. I definitely think that my father, formed my grasp of what being a man was.
Yeah.
But not in like the manliest of ways. You know, we weren't playing sports together. We weren't, you know, like doing that. But you know, I think that my father kind of taught me to be true to yourself, be true to others. You know, be a man of your word.
Yeah.
You know, if you say you're going to do something, do it. You know, and do it to your fullest ability. You know, I feel like those are some of the you know, values that my father gave me.
Yeah.
You know, but in other times when, you know, if my father was working and not around, you know, I had, you know, the fathers on TV just like everybody else.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what I would say. You know, Bill Cosby was one of them.
Say,
I mean,
would it
honestly,
happen to be Bill Cosby? Because he was one of mine. Even though he going through whatever he going through personally on the show, solid dad.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I you know, I mean, solid dad on TV. You
Facts.
know, on TV, like everything looked like, you know, straight
Yeah.
up. You know, and in fact, you know, I kind of found that my dad and Bill Cosby had like similar humor. You know, similar like delivery, and you know, and I think, you know, that was, you know, why I connected. You know, my father liked to use humor to deliver lessons, and stuff like that, and not try to be as, you know, overbearing and serious about things. You know, but still getting the message across.
That makes sense. I guess I'm the similar dad to your dad, because humor is like the through line for most of the uncomfortable things for me. I'll be honest. When my dad died, when my grandmother died, when my cousin died, I found humor to be like a safe space. It's like, look, we could either, as the youngins say, crash out to the hurt and the pain of the loss, or I could reflect on it and give it the humor that I know, though in those situations, those relationships would have been appreciated. My cousin, yeah, rest in peace, he was a clown. So was my dad. So was my grandmother. So I feel like there is value in being able to deliver something heavy or something wise or something like that through the guise of humor. Like, humor gets you through a lot of shit, I'll be honest.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, you talk about family passing and stuff.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, we've had, you know, family pass, grandmothers, uncles, you know, family members and stuff, and you know, not that you look forward to a funeral, but like, I know if I'm going to a wake for a family member, I'm going to see that uncle or that cousin or whatever, and we're probably going to be, you know, the ones in the back of the room, or hopefully not in the same room, you know, laughing it up and like telling jokes and remembering stories about what this, you know, person did or said or whatever. You know, I mean, yeah, we deal with everything with humor. You know, like, you know, it just makes everything much easier. I'd rather be laughing than crying.
Yeah, I much rather be laughing than crying. Although lately, crying has been a source of release. I've been doing some research that crying actually helps you regulate your system. Like, if you're quote unquote backed up, a good cry releases certain neurotoxins in your brain, so forth and so on, and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's been a lot less like, nah, man, I ain't gonna cry. However, I'll choose laughter over crying any day. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. How do you get yourself, like, you know, it's hard. You know, it's hard. I've definitely had, you know, sad things happen and everything, and you know, I don't know, it's just been so like ingrained, you know, from like childhood, you know, boys don't cry, and like, you know, all this
little bitch,
like, you know, stiff upper lip, you know, it's like, yeah, exactly. So, you know, so now I just, you know, keep my crying to like Hallmark commercials, and, you know, fucking, you know,
movies and crying.
Exactly, you know,
man, that movie was a good movie.
Exactly. You know, my wife like loves movies that make her cry. Like, she'd talk about some Disney movie or whatever. She's like, oh, I was crying within 20 seconds, 25 seconds. I'm like, I want to fucking see that shit. You know, like, what the fuck I want to see that for? Like, you know, I'm sorry, I'm good.
Facts.
You know,
that part.
But, you know, maybe I'm missing out.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing out. Maybe I need a good cry.
Could be.
I'll try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you go home today, you should cry. You should give yourself.
I'll do it on my ride home. You know, at
gotta do
least when I'm
open the visor.
Nah, keep that visor down. Keep my helmet down. Nobody can see me ugly crying. Woo! Like exactly. Let the wind dry my tears.
That part. That part. Speaking of like different ideologies, right? So this whole crying thing, with a whole host of other emotions and things like that, has there been anything on your journey from young manhood to older young manhood that you felt like you had to change, like certain ideologies that you were like, yeah, that shit is not, it don't work, so I'm gonna do this instead? Like, is there anything that sticks out for you in that regard?
Would you mean like stopping like behaviors that yeah,
like old thought processes or old patterns or an old way of thinking that you like, this shit didn't work for y'all, it don't work for me, so this is what I'm gonna do instead?
I don't know. Honestly, for myself, like I think about in my younger years, I was a little bit more wild, did a little bit more, stuff that I shouldn't have been doing. I mean, yeah, it's tough to say. I don't know. I mean, basically, I'd say it's like stopping doing hardcore drugs.
Yeah.
Was like one of them. Was
Yeah.
like around 22, 23 years
Yeah.
old, like stopping that stuff because
Yeah.
I knew that through friends and others and stuff that there was no long term strategy towards it. It was like a winning strategy.
See, what you want to do is you want to do cocaine every 3 years,
Right.
then stop for 2 years, and then you keep your nose.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm good. Now I luckily decided to stop
Yeah.
doing that type of stuff early.
Same. Yeah.
I'm not sure what else.
I
Where
mean,
else to take that?
nah, I mean, that's a good point. I mean, at the end of the day, there's certain things that influence us when we're younger, and when you're young, you don't think like you don't think that the person you're gonna end up being as an older person is going to no longer want to do those things. There's no longer gonna want to participate in a certain type of lifestyle. Like for me, gang culture was heavy when I was a kid. It's not to say that I tried to participate, but I wanted to. I wanted to sell drugs because selling drugs was the thing that most of the lit guys in my neighborhood were doing.
Get money, get
Yeah.
chicks,
Facts.
getting
Yeah.
respect.
Facts.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, selling weed for the 2 weeks that I sold weed in high school was racy to me. You know what I'm saying? It was something that everybody else was doing, and I just wanted to buy the next cool thing like the other cool kids. I wanted to have the nice sneakers and a nice, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wanted girls to like me too because I had money. You know what I mean?
Right. See, that's funny. I only did it so I could smoke weed for free. Like basically just smoked up all my profits.
You got to listen to Biggie. He said, "Never get high on your own supply."
Yeah, exactly. If I had only seen Friday, like
Yeah.
before,
Where's my money, Smokey?
Exactly, yeah.
Facts. I guess going from there, that level of awareness at 22, 23, would you say that you realized at that point in time that you had to be responsible for your own growth, or accountable for your own life at that time?
I think I just realized I really wasn't doing shit.
Yeah.
Like I mean, I've always worked. I've always had a job, and
Yeah.
and always kind of supported myself in whatever form I could.
Yeah.
But I just kind of realized it just wasn't like I could keep doing the same thing, but like I just was gonna be stuck.
Yeah.
There was just nowhere forward. Like I certainly wasn't gonna start selling,
Yeah.
drugs because I had tried that with weed, and that was not a good business model. But like, so yeah, it was just and I feel like I had a relatively close path with dying. I think I almost had a heart attack. Doing it, and I think that woke me up.
Yeah.
The fact that I felt like that, and then the next day went and got high again, and
Yeah.
kept doing it and everything, and then like finally, I think several days or weeks later, I was
Yeah.
like, didn't I almost fucking die on this? I thought I was gonna die on this. It's like
Yeah.
this is
Hold
fucking
on, let me
stupid.
check.
Like and yeah, it's just terrible shit, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't know. That was just enough for me to kind of stop doing it.
Yeah.
Like I just wanted to do something with my life. Wanted to just be better.
Yeah. Was that doing like you wanted to make your mom proud? You wanted to make your dad proud? Did you want to make yourself proud? Like what was the?
I think it was more along the lines of like not wanting to die and be an embarrassment to my family.
Yeah.
And like I didn't want to go out like that. I had some friends and known some people that unfortunately succumbed to that type of stuff, and
Yeah.
you're not going out a hero like that.
Yeah.
Like I mean people like I just don't want to be like that. I
Yeah.
just wanna, and I thought that was the trajectory I was going on, and I was probably right. Probably.
I'll be honest, yes, because there's a lot. Now that I'm older and I see some of the quote unquote wisdom my mom used to, she's like, you are who you hang around. And I never really realized that until I started to see it play out, where I would see certain friend groups, like somebody I was cool with at one point that I'm not necessarily sharing space with like that. We still cool from a distance, but I see the crowd that they hanging with, and them starting to hang with that crowd was the downfall of their life. They started to get into more shit. They started to be more active in a lifestyle that just doesn't promote longevity. Like, you can't rob people and think you're going to live until 80 something. And that's what you do, and you're known for doing that. And people know certain crimes that you are associated with, and they're like, oh, nah, such and such did that.
Right.
It's not really, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Doesn't really promote.
Unless you're the biggest and the baddest,
Yeah.
Unfortunately, somebody's gonna knock you off that.
It's a fact. It's a fact.
Off that platform.
It's a rude awakening too
Yeah,
at
yeah.
that point. Yeah,
Right.
facts.
Yeah.
So I definitely understand that level of like, nah, I need to get my shit together. And coincidentally, that was around that time is when I became a dad, 21, 22 years old. Well, actually 20 going into 21, where it changed for me.
Yeah.
It changed for me from a space of like, well, it's somebody else's. I guess growing up in the inner city, you always think that there's going to be this one big thing that comes and changes your life. And it doesn't happen that way. It happens like there's a cadence to it. You see something different, your perspective changes, and because your perspective change, it changes the things you do. And then the things that you do when they change, it changes who you hang around. And then because you're hanging around different people, you're getting a different perspective on what life is or what life could be. So there's a certain level of like being in it and only existing in it, but then being outside of it and seeing it from the outside perspective. Like, I can't keep this shit up. There's no way I can keep this shit up. Like, I'll be dead in 2 years if I keep this shit up, if not sooner. You know what I'm saying? So hanging around the people that I was hanging around at one point drastically changed because I was a dad. And because I took full responsibility for my son's life, it just didn't allow me to go certain places, even down to having sex with women. I'm 20 years old. I'm not in a relationship with my son's mother, and I still want to be active. But it got to a point where it's like, hey, you want to come over and have sex? And it's like, well, can my son come with me?
He likes to watch. I have a little lampshade for him.
You know what I'm saying?
Don't worry.
Facts.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah. Probably not the best pickup line.
Yeah.
It's a good way to get that offer rescinded.
Yeah.
You know?
Mad time.
Yeah.
Like, look, no, I like the fact that you're a good dad, but it's nowhere for your son to sleep. It's true, because if you only got one bed, it's not really going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot that changed in that time for me, because because my son was attached to my hip, there was a lot of stuff I just didn't do, and I couldn't do. I couldn't go to the club because can my son come with me? No, your son's not 21.
Well, you could have.
Yeah.
I mean, you could have. People
Yeah.
people do. People do, and they they make those choices. But you made the choice not
Yeah.
to do that.
It's
That
a
was
fact.
that was your shift.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
It was, and I'm so appreciative of it. I can't hold you. Like I think about it sometimes. Like, damn, I didn't really have my 20s. I didn't have the, hanging out, going places, doing a lot of things. Like, it was more serious for me. Like, I was wearing slacks, shaving all this shit off, like with the butt naked face beard and all that, just because I felt like I needed to be more corporate in order for my son to have like a decent life. I needed to put myself in a position for my son to have a decent life. It didn't work out that way, just because, it just didn't work out that way. But yeah, my shift was around the same time. Different reasons, but
Yeah.
same context in mind. Like, I didn't want to die.
You accepted that responsibility
Yeah, facts.
and pushed forward on it.
It's a fact. It's a fact. So how would you define manhood? Like, if you had to define it, or your definition of manhood, like, what's that for you now as 47, at 47? How do you define manhood now?
I think it's being less focused on yourself and your own happiness and everything, and it's different for me because I don't have like kids and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But I think it's just kind of being responsible for yourself and taking responsibility for those you love, whether they're children or your wife or your pets or everything. I mean, your job.
Yeah.
Just basically understanding that you have responsibilities and rising to meet those occasions. And you can't do it 100% of the time. There are times when you don't fulfill all obligations or whatever, but it's I think it's the ability to know that, to see it, to understand it, and to try to do better.
Yeah.
It's to try to do your best, for the people in your life, for the for the things that you care about.
It's a gym.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a gym. Only because I ask this question every episode, just so I can start to build this like tapestry of guys' answers when it comes to that question. And the fact that you're saying it's taking responsibility, it's rising to the occasion of accountability that allows you to just move in that space. It's not to say that you know everything. It's to say that I know that I need to be responsible, and that level of responsibility that I know I'm supposed to have, I just operate in that. the level of accountability I know I'm supposed to have, I just operate in that. So there's a there's almost like a quiet comfort with your answer, just because I feel like in a lot of ways that's how I started to kind of look at it as well. It's like I'm accountable for my life 100%. There's nobody coming to save me. I may be able to get different occurrences and instances where somebody will help me, but nobody's going to help me figure out my shit but me. There's nobody that's going to come and take the time to help me figure out my shit but me. And I have to be responsible. I have to be accountable to that level of attention and energy that's being put on into this journey, because I'm still me. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, I'm still Baith. Whether my ideologies may have changed or whether the cadence of what I do has changed, I'm still me. So wherever I am is where I am. And whatever I need to address, I would have to address that. I would have to change that. You know what I'm saying? So in this level of accountability, this level of responsibility, there's also a level of vulnerability that goes with it. Being okay with not having it all, like not having it all figured out, not having it all together, figuring it out on the way. So, what level of vulnerability do you say you put or reserve or have for the space of growth for your own life? Like, what level of vulnerability do you allow for your own growth?
I mean, I'm certainly not perfect.
Yeah.
I'm aware of that, and I know, that, I'm not going to hit the mark every time.
Yeah.
With my responsibilities, with everything that I hold near and dear. But you do the best you can. You do the best you can, and when you miss the mark, take note and try to learn from it and move on and do better. I mean, like,
Yeah.
that's what we all, that's all we can do, right?
Yeah.
I think, but you have to really kind of take an inventory and know, like, when, you're fucking up. You're not
Yeah.
doing, like, I mean, I, not that I'm fucking up, but, like, there are times where I could go spend 3-4 hours doing nothing in my garage and hanging out and drinking beer and smoking weed, or I could have done, like, the other, like, 3 or 4 things on my list of things to do that I needed to get done, that I wanted to get done. And it's just like, sometimes you take a little bit of time off, sometimes you try to hammer down, but understanding that where you are and what you're putting in, what you're taking out, just life, in general.
Yeah. What level of not vulnerability. That's how we got here. What level of awareness do you have in that moment? Like, in the moment that you're not really hitting the mark, are you meeting it with acceptance and, all right, I need to change this, or is it like a level of denial that's in there?
No, it's like, oh yeah, I'm not doing this, and yeah, fuck it, no. Yeah, I guess it's all situational. It really depends on what we're talking about. Is it like, did I load the dishwasher or unload the dishwasher, or whatever, do my laundry? It's like all these things that like you can put off and everything, but that doesn't make the mess go away. The stuff it keeps going. You're gonna keep eating. You're gonna keep making plates. Like, might as well make some clean plates because you can run through. So So, it's probably all in hindsight, I mean, there's definitely, some just to use the dishwasher analogy, there's like some nights where I'm like, oh yeah, I got to put some soap in there and press start and everything, and the next morning I wake up and I'm like, oh fuck, I didn't do that,
Shit.
like
This is my favorite mug.
right, yeah, exactly, yeah. Now I'm drinking water from my hand. Like,
May I have another? Facts. What lessons have you learned from like being a man in the world, moving around in the world as a man, obviously? What are some of the things that help cultivate that in your marriage?
I would say, basically giving up the need to be right.
Yeah.
Is basically,
Yeah.
I love you, baby. If you're watching this, I'm never right anyway. Actually, there's very few occasions where she'll tell me I'm right, but
Yeah.
I get those on recordings. I have like probably 3 or 4 times at least in the past 11 years that I've been right.
Yeah.
Trying to think. Repeat the question.
I was saying, no, it's all good. It's all good. I was saying, how has being married like helped cultivate some of this shift, some of this change in your, I guess, masculine energy, so to speak. But how has being married contributed to your journey into maturation and all that?
I would, I know you have disdain for this phrase of happy wife, happy life.
Yes.
But like, I try to, I don't even know how to put this really. I think getting married and my responsibilities were my responsibilities. Her responsibilities before we got married were her responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like collectively, like we have responsibilities.
Yeah.
We like together.
Yeah.
Like whether it's stuff she needs to do or whether it's stuff I need to do or whether it's stuff we need to do together. It's all stuff we need to do.
Yeah.
And luckily, my wife is very good at telling me things need to be done.
Yeah.
And I'm receptive to that.
Yeah.
But again, it's like, so, not that I'm doing things to keep my wife happy, but I'm just doing things to kind of keep up my end of the bargain, to keep the machine, that we are as a couple in our life, going and everything, and just trying to keep things moving,
Yeah.
So, and she's been, excellent at taking responsibilities and tasks and be like, I'm going to handle this. And, it's like, so I, speak to the strengths and things that I can do. And it's like, all right, I'm going to handle this. And the stuff that, we might not be excellent at, on either end, at least the two of us together, we get shit done.
Yeah.
We do what we can.
A nice
So,
partnership.
Was that?
I said a nice partnership.
I mean, what else are we there for?
Yeah.
If you could do everything yourself, what do you need a wife for?
Yeah.
Same here. If she could do everything, she could do everything without you with ease. And what are you here for other than making her giggle every once in a while?
I agree, because being married, we've been together 15 years. We've been married 12 years, and the level of space that I've been able to explore because I have my wife has been paramount, to be honest. So my level of disdain for the whole happy wife, happy life is because it's like you said, to your point, it's two people. So if my sole purpose is to keep you happy, where does my happiness come into the fray? Who's taking care of my happiness? You know what I'm saying? I don't believe either person is responsible for the other person's happiness because I can't make you happy. You can't make me happy. You can be happy and then bring me into your happiness sphere of happiness, and I can be happy and bring you into my sphere of happiness, but I ultimately have to curate happiness for myself and share it. And you ultimately have to curate happiness for yourself and share it. So I believe in happy spouse, happy house. Because if I'm happy and you happy, the house is happy. But if you happy and I'm not happy, it's not a happy house, and vice versa. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I would just say that, I think the fact that you're concerned about your partner, your wife's, happiness
Yeah.
is that's important to you, I think goes a long way.
Yeah.
I mean, and like you said, you can't make somebody who's not happy happy,
Yeah.
no matter what you do.
Fact.
But your concern for someone's happiness, and even the fact that like you're interested, you want
Yeah.
to, you may not be able to put them there, but
Yeah.
you can help, you can try,
Facts.
and I think that's an important thing.
True. True.
That you care, that you care if they're happy.
Yeah.
I mean, because there are definitely, I no names, but I definitely know people who are in relationships, and it's like if their wife is unhappy for whatever, it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
To fucking get over.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, well, how's that working out for you? It's like, you know what I'm saying?
Sleeping on the couch for 6 months.
Right.
Yeah.
And granted, I don't know that they could get up and make their spouse happy, but but if they were kind of interested in it, and if it was important to them,
Yeah.
that might actually like rub off, and
Yeah.
might be
Beneficial.
something that they
Yeah.
appreciate. Yeah.
Something like that. I'll be honest, man. I didn't think, well, I didn't really have a lot of examples of like marriage, like good marriage, growing up. So I never really pictured myself being married. I never envisioned marriage. I never envisioned kids. I never envisioned none of the shit that's my life right now. Not even on the radar of the radar. Like, didn't even know a radar existed to detect any of this stuff. So there's a certain level of like surprise or unexpected happiness that I get from being or having the titles that I have. Being married, though, I would say not single-handedly, but it definitely shaped how I show up as a man in the world. Just because the level of care and the level of happiness that my wife and I are able to share with each other, it I don't want to say it's necessarily obvious, but it's obvious. For lack of a better word or a better way to put it, we were just at an event last night. We're walking from the event last night, regular, minding our business, making jokes and shit with each other, and somebody comes out and they like, man, y'all look like one happy couple. And we both just like, it takes us off guard because we don't do it for other people to enjoy our relationship.
No.
You know what I'm saying? What do you
just
mean?
Running around like holding hands, like just until you get to the front door. It's like, all right, bitch.
Fuck out of here. I hate your ass. So it's funny how much when I do step back and take account for it, it's amazing how more not reserved I am, but how much more aware that I am of who I am because I'm somebody's husband.
Mm.
Because I'm somebody's husband, I show up in the world a certain kind of way because I know I don't just represent myself, but I also represent the union that I say I uphold. So if I'm in a room full of women and I'm out there wilding, it's like, well, why are you even married if you out here wilding? You know what I'm saying? So there's a certain cadence that I find myself being on because of this person. And I actually enjoy it. I do. I enjoy being a guy in a room that represents married men and marriages, and to say that as a man, I can be happy with this one woman. As a man, I can be thriving in my relationship with my wife, and it's not the old ball and chain. I like being able to kind of rewrite some people's expectations or perceptions when it comes to being a married guy. Being married to me is dope. It's dope because you get a chance to, you have a partner that you can share inside jokes with for the rest of your life. You have somebody that you know without a shadow of a doubt, at the end of the day, you have my back and you know I have your back. There's a certain appreciation for the amount of space that's created because I have this other person attached to me and the things that I'm able to do or able to accomplish or able to envision or dream about because I have this other person. And I just appreciate that so much to my journey, my personal journey, that I have commitment, this commitment that allows me to kind of block out all of the shit that don't matter, all of the shit that doesn't really serve a purpose, it doesn't serve my life or my relationship. And because I'm able to push all of that stuff away, it gives me like a clear road to like really tap in to find other places in me that I didn't know even existed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Congratulations, you have an honest, loving relationship. You know, like
facts.
I mean, like, I don't know what was in your vows and everything. And to be honest, I'm not sure I remember all of mine, but I do remember, that we were accepting each other as like our best friends.
Yeah.
And like, like I have some really amazing best friend guy friends and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And now that some have kids, some have lives, some have wives. So like we don't see each other as much. So, but our friendships are still strong. But
Yeah.
like, I live with my wife. I'm with my wife. Like that is my best friend.
Yeah.
Right? Like I mean, and she has to be because we're together more than really anybody else, other
That's a
than
fact.
maybe like some coworkers and
Yeah.
stuff that I work with. That's who you spend your time with. Like
Yeah.
so it really kind of better be your best friend.
Yeah.
And if it's not your best friend, you're probably not going to have a great fucking relationship.
Yeah, that's true.
Like I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like
This bitch is here again?
you have each other's
Yeah.
back. Like yeah, if you find yourself like being excited every time your wife's gonna fucking go away for a couple hours, like
Yeah.
like I mean, listen, I like to have a couple hours by myself too.
For sure.
But, like I'm not like sitting at the door
Waiting
like,
at
weren't
the
you supposed
counter.
to leave 5 minutes ago.
What are you still doing here? Yeah.
So I mean I think that kind of informs how I try to treat my wife. Is like this is my best friend.
Yeah.
This is my best friend. This is somebody who I'm not gonna lie to. I'm not gonna fucking steal from.
Yeah.
Like be an asshole.
Yeah.
Because that's not what best friends do to one another.
That's a
Like,
fact.
do you have arguments and stuff? Do you have disagreements? Of course.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, like you're both down. You're both down for one another. Like whatever happens, like that's it.
Yeah.
I know she's gonna be in my corner. I'm gonna be in her corner, and if that should ever change, then maybe it's time to not be each other's best friends and spouses. But for now, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I'm in her corner. She's in mine.
Yeah.
What more can I ask for?
I ain't gonna hold you. That's a very good way to put it, because I'm not gonna lie to my spouse. I'm not gonna it feels dirty. It's not to say I've never lied to my spouse. When I was immature, of course, I would omit things. And for me, it was like, well, I'm not really lying because I didn't say that it was something that it wasn't.
Mm.
I just omitted the complete truth.
Mm.
And even with that, it's like, well, did you feel good after? No, I never felt good after. I felt like I was cheating. I was being dishonest. So there's a certain level of now in my relationship now, just with myself, with my wife, that keeping it real with her feels cleaner. I don't have nothing to hide from nobody. So I don't have to feel like I can't be my complete self with her because I know that my complete self with her is a safe place. I don't have to hide who I am or the things that I may show up or present as negative or off-putting or whatever because I know that she knows my heart. She knows my mind. She knows how I show up. And if I'm not showing up that way, it's like, yeah, I kind of felt that you was on some bullshit, but I didn't want to say you was on some bullshit. But now that I know you was on some bullshit, I knew you was on some bullshit, and I appreciate that because it keeps me grounded in reality, one, but it also keeps me aware of the checks and balances. It's like, yeah, before you fly off into this space that you're not fit for, let me help bring you back down real quick. Let me help give you a little dose of what I'm paying attention to. I saw that.
Mm.
Just so you know I saw that. You know what I'm saying? And now that we've acknowledged that I saw that, here's what we're going to do going forward. You don't have to hide that from me. That's your truth. That's your truth. And I much rather deal with the truth honestly than to deal with the lie, thinking I'm being honest, dealing with the lie.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even with getting a job, when I started working, where we work, name shall not be, 'cause they ain't paying or sponsoring. Feel me? But the delay from getting hired to actually starting working, there was a space in there. My wife thought I was bullshitting. She really thought I was bullshitting, like, because she thought I didn't want to let her down, that I didn't get hired. And I'm like, no, I got hired. They told me I'm going to start. It's going to be any day now. And you seen the process.
Yeah.
It was like, well, usually it take like 2 weeks. It's been 3 weeks. It's been 4 weeks. And I'm like, unfortunately, rest in peace, there was a death that caused the delay also. But in that space, it was just like, nah, babe, the space that I'm in right now, I don't feel like I need to omit things to protect you, which is ultimately me omitting things to protect myself. Because I don't want you to look at me some kind of way. I don't want you to feel like I don't got it. I don't want you to feel like you can't lean on me. I don't want you to feel like I'm not dependable or reliable or any of these things.
Right.
It's like, nah, the space of trusting you 100% with who I am and what I feel and where I'm going and where I'm not going and what my intentions are, like, that's a real place. And I fuck with you so much, like you said, my best friend. I fuck with you so much that I feel like I'm not doing us justice by leaving out a little piece of it, even if it is undesirable, even if it is ugly. If I'm leaving out a little piece of it, I can't really call you my best friend. I can't really call you, like, people ask me all the time, it's like, my wife is my dog. Like, it's my homie. Out of all my friends, all my relationships, she has the highest spot under the relationship with myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I hold that shit to high regard. I have to. Because if it's death do us part, well, I'm going to lie to you until I die, and then you find out you lived a whole life full of lies and shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Where's the payoff in that?
Yeah. There's no payoff.
No.
There's no payoff.
None.
I would say being married made me think about how I wanted to show up as a husband. You know what I'm saying? Like I never thought about it, never considered it. I wasn't a kid thinking like, man, when I get married, this kind of tux I'm gonna have on is gonna be amazing. We're gonna have flowers and doves flying above. It was none of that. So getting married was like, well, what kind of man do you want to be? What kind of man do you want to be to your wife? What kind of man do you want to see? Do you want your kids to see treating their mom? What kind of man do you want people who are not married, who are out in the world doing what they do? What kind of man do you want to see? What kind of man do you want them to see that takes care of their wife? You know what I'm saying? So a lot of it changed for me getting married. I ask you this, um, which is a question I've been asking a lot of my guests. Would the younger version of you be proud of the man that he grew up into?
I think so. I think I think so. I think I feel like I've done better for myself than I expected. I don't know. I really didn't have much expectations when I was a young kid. I
Yeah.
really didn't like have any sort of like vision of what I wanted to be, where I wanted to go, who I wanted to spend my time with. I really, spent much of my time kind of living day to day. I wasn't like college focused and didn't like go through that whole thing like of what you're gonna be like
Yeah.
when you're an adult and everything. So I really had no idea which direction I was gonna go and where I'd be, I, I'm definitely happy with where I'm at now, and I think I don't know I'm thinking about it. If I was a kid, when I was a kid, I probably thought or I'd hoped I'd be cooler than I am, be doing like real cool shit, but
Mohawk
not
and
like
shit.
not living in the suburbs and
Yeah.
like barbecuing for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
But that's okay. I'm happy with that now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think I did all right. I think I've done all right.
Yeah.
I think my younger self wouldn't beat me up too bad.
I thought you were gonna be a rock star, man.
Yeah, right. No,
Yeah.
you got to have talent for that.
I mean, talented on the grill. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if they give out Grammys for that, but
Yeah, probably not. The award for best caterer.
is yeah. Um, I don't know. I've been asking this question lately too. Is there anything that I didn't ask that, or any point that you feel like would be cool to accentuate in this space of men talking to men about men shit and so forth and so on?
Thank you. Thank you.
You good?
Um,
I do the editing too, so we good.
that's good. That's good. 'Cause I just farted too. Um, I think I think we covered most of it. I don't know. I think just trying to, I think one of the things that my wife has tried to instill in me, which I'm still, you know, learning and working towards every day, is like patience. Is working on my patience, is not having assumptions, of what other people's motives are, or what they're doing. Really just kind of focusing on what my intent is, and trying to be a positive individual, and trying to push the ball in a positive direction.
Yeah.
Granted, I fail miserably often. But I think knowing that you're failing, knowing that you're not making the mark, and trying to take inventory of that, and just to push yourself to do better, to be better, and um, I think that's my shift. That's the shift that I need to make, that I'm still working
Yeah.
on a day to day.
Yeah.
Somebody cuts you off in traffic, it's probably not because they were like, fuck this guy. It's
Yeah.
because, whatever, they got shit going on in their life. It's just like, try not to make assumptions that, like, everybody plays like the main character in their own, story and
Yeah.
everything. It's like, you just got to remember that that's your story. Everybody else has, their own thing, and you probably have little to do with their story. And, it's like we cross paths, and, um, just try to give people latitude. I'm working on my patience.
Yeah.
It's basically
That's good.
what I'm working on.
That's good. I say for me, is being emotionally aware as men. I think as men we get a bad rap when it comes to what we express and what we don't express. And I feel like a lot of times being angry is the one acceptable one. It's the one acceptable thing that we get as men. Like we're almost expected to just be angry. It's like happy or angry. There's no in between. There's no middle ground. There's no nothing. But we experience the myriad of emotions, but we also experience the myriad of emotions under a suppressed like canopy.
In solitude, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's like you could be sad but not out loud. You could be if it's not anger or happiness, you can be that, but just not out loud.
Right.
And I'm here to say through this platform that you have the right to feel what you feel. Your feelings are valid. They may not be true, but they are valid. Just because you're sad about something doesn't make you less of a man. Just because you're feeling complex or you feel guilt or you feel shame or you feel whatever it is you feel doesn't make you less of a man. It actually makes you more of a human. No, I ain't even try to do that, but it just makes you more human. And under the canopy of human, you have masculine and feminine energy, and they all have a point and a purpose. And crying isn't feminine more than crying is masculine. Crying is crying. They're just feelings. Feelings aren't designated to a certain group of individuals. It's just not. So for me, I feel like, yeah, man, feel your feelings, bro. Feel them shits. And then deal with them shits. Because men do cry. Real men do cry. But real men also figure that shit out. They just do. They don't just sit there and wallow in the feeling. They take the feeling, they dissect it, and they figure out what to do with those emotions. So, yeah. Any parting words of wisdom?
I agree with most of that. I agree with
Gotcha.
most of that. I think yeah, I mean, we do have all of the same emotions that everyone has, and yeah, it is unfortunate that we're kind of taught from a young age that yeah, anger is the only negative emotion that we're allowed to display, but yeah, I don't know where I was going out of that.
Parting words of wisdom.
Just be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Be true to others. Be honest with yourself. Be honest with others. Do your best and try to understand who you are, where you're at, and what type of energy you're putting out into this planet and to the people around you. And just try to be a positive force.
I like that. I like that. Well, this has been another episode of the Grown Man Shift podcast. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. I really do. Like, people say that, and whatever they feel is whatever they feel, but I appreciate that, because who the fuck am I saying whatever I'm saying? I'm nobody in the tapestry of your world, and I appreciate that you took the time out to press play on this program. So thank you. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, anything you want to see discussed on this platform, you can email me, grownmanshitpodcast@gmail.com. Of course, like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend, and all that good stuff. I'm Baith. That is my guy, TJ. And we are